This video is meant for Kim Wells and Brian Batchelor to assist in evaluating how TradeIdeas software integrated inside Scottrade Elite contributes to the user experience of the Scottrade Elite customer. The user experience is a focal point in assessing ROI value of TradeIdeas for Scottrade. It is important to put the user experience into historical context. Before July 2009, the default layout of Scottrade Elite is what is currently being shown in the video. To a viewer without experience as an engaged market participant, this default layout may seem satisfactory, but in actuality, it is far from usable. First, notice that an execution panel is nowhere to be seen. So if an end user happens to want to make a trade immediately, for whatever reason, they are unable to do so without first searching the toolbar at the top. The order entry option is easy to find only if you know where to look. Otherwise, it is one of 24 buttons on the top of the toolbar. Not only is there no execution panel, but there is no positions panel either. So there is no ability to view the stocks that a customer currently owns. Likewise, these windows are not linked. So if someone is pressing on any of the symbols in any of the windows, like the quote grid or the top performers, the charts are not updating, and the same goes for the highs and lows ticker. This initial experience, the one viewed by everyone prior to July 2009, was created by Scottrade Development and was the first impressions the trader had with the Scottrade Elite platform. When Active Trading Management and TradeIdeas got together to transform the user experience, here is what took place. Using TradeIdeas Management's extensive understanding of how end users interact with trading platforms to place trades, a new default layout was created which included TradeIdeas as a key component of the user experience. Prior to being placed in the default layout, Scottrade Active Trading Management conducted years-long research of the trading volume of TradeIdeas users of Scottrade Elite compared to non-TradeIdeas users of Scottrade Elite to understand ROI. The results, which showed TradeIdeas users on average trading 5 times the amount to non-TradeIdeas users of Scottrade Elite, resulted in the decision to place TradeIdeas as a focal point inside the new default layout and first experience to the Scottrade Elite customer. This new functional default layout is completely different than the old layout, which served no function other than having open windows. The new layout made it possible to engage in the market with little modification. Let's examine why and why that is important. First, an end user is presented with all elements needed to make a trade: an execution panel, an accounts panel, and charts for confirmation. Notice that all of these elements are linked. That means the end user didn't have to configure how to do the linking. Everything was presented immediately, ready to go with little modification. Likewise, the TradeIdeas window that is open is designed to provide valuable information without the need for much modification. This is by design, as users should be spending more time evaluating potential trade opportunities instead of trying to figure out how to configure the windows. When evaluating TradeIdeas ROI, it is important to have perspective of relativity. All competing trading platforms from major brokerages have order entry screens, position management, charting, and news. The key is, what is the differentiating factor? TradeIdeas brings the most important and relevant information to the forefront of the end user experience. All that an end user has to do is click on a symbol and evaluate the opportunity that's being presented. All of the components are linked, and at the same time they can monitor all of the existing risk that is available through the other available tools in the default layout. The whole user experience was elevated through the interaction of trade ideas in the default layout, because before that took place, there were simply no other ways in which an end user was presented with very high value information that they could trade on and see what was going on in the market. One only has to watch the Trade Ideas window next to the available highs and lows ticker on Scottrade Elite to see the considerable difference in user interface and data engagement. The information in this scrolling ticker, while is informative in the sense that there are symbols with values coming through, is almost non-readable and in computer form compared to the information that's coming through the Trade Ideas window, which is streaming in real time with all the valuable information in written form, easily understandable, and with the ability to act on it instantly. Compare and contrast again the Trade Ideas window over here on the left with the Top Performers window on the first user experience. Notice that when someone opens this window, nothing comes through. This is a very big component of ROI and should be understood when assessing what value Trade Ideas brings to the table to the experience of Scottrade Elite customers who are engaged in the platform. Lastly, let's examine Trade Ideas next to the streaming news window, which a lot of people may think is a substitute for the same kind of technology that Trade Ideas brings to the table to Scottrade Elite. When looking at this news window, notice that by default, and again the default is the first user experience, what you're seeing is headlines such as Flash Flood affects 46,000 people in Comoros, or United States EPA honors LA healthcare plan with National Environmental Leadership Award. You're almost seeing headlines that are generated as if they were coming from a news show rather than tradable headlines, and it would require the end user to do some configuration on their own to find something that is tradable. They would have to either put in a word such as buy, and when that happens, without modification, this is what happens. And again, it is a completely different user interface than what you're seeing here, with a screen that is just coming through and working directly to show the end user opportunities as they take place. One only has to view this environment for a short amount of time to come to the same conclusion that Scottrade management came to when analyzing the Trade Ideas product prior to it being included in the default layout. And that is simple, that this window is the highest ROI product inside of Scottrade Elite, that is the differentiating product of Scottrade Elite from all the other platforms available to traders with other brokerages.